Tara Jacobson, Marketing Artfully. I guess I should tell you who I am first. So today I've had actually a couple people in the last few days ask me about how to promote their shops, their Etsy shops on social media. And so for me, let's first talk about what I think works for social media for Etsy shops in general. First off, Pinterest for sure is going to be a great place to share your items. Pinterest is primarily used to save things. Let's talk about, we're going to be looking at a lady who does wedding invitations today. So say a gal is planning her wedding, she's doing all her wedding shopping as soon as that engagement ring goes on her finger. And so she's collecting places, she's trying to find things, she's resourcing them. She may not be a buyer really quick, but you want to be able to be in her list of things that she's saving. Instagram is super visual, so it makes sense for our very visual products that we're selling on Etsy. And last but not least, we're also going to be talking about Facebook. And I think you're going to be surprised at what I think of Facebook. So we're going to have 5 different creative ideas for how to market your shop on social media. All right, let's get started. So the first one is kind of a twofer, right? It is using the shop updates on your phone, and I tried to figure out a way to show my phone on the computer, but it won't do it. So I just did an update, and now the nice thing about it within the Etsy interface is I said this picture in House Beautiful has these really sculptural, architectural details on the side table, and I have a really cool cathedral bookend that would be an amazing addition to if you're trying to copy this look from House Beautiful. So number 1, I did an update, a shop update, and I will put a link. I have a post about how to do shop updates. They move it around. It's really kerfuffly, but once you figure it out, it's easy to do. It's just not super intuitive. And then once you have that shop update, you can post it to Instagram. Now, why wouldn't I just post that picture to Instagram with the same words? They used one like mine. House Beautiful featured this really cool vignette that has some... The reason why I'm not doing it that way is because I want to start with Etsy's internal platform and try to get the most traffic I can for each thing I do. And so if I'm doing an update, what that does is it triggers them to notify the people that that are following me, that have maybe liked my products. There's a bunch of very nice things that happen within Etsy when I do a shop update. And so then this is what it looked like. Now, in the past, I liked it much better because it would put a little Etsy tag. See, that's where I did it without, you know, just that way. They would put a little Etsy tag, and I'm trying to see. Oh, see, they would put this little tag and say that it was an Etsy item. Now, what you want to do is if you're posting, cats are everywhere. If you're posting to your Instagram, you want to make sure that the only link, you can only have one link, right? So you want to make sure that that link goes back to your shop. So that's the first thing. Post your listings to your shop updates and then send it to Instagram. Number 1. Number 2, we're going to look at my wedding invitation lady, and she's awesome. This is Valerie. I know it says Betty Lou, but it's really Valerie. And so she is in that sweet spot on, like, Pinterest loves weddings. And I was so excited. I'm like, okay, well, so what if somebody was going to pin this to Pinterest? Wah, wah, wah. This is not going to be something that that people are going to really want to pin to Pinterest. What you want to do is you want to have these. The reason why she's doing this is that's the size that shows up well in Etsy search and everything like that. If she was going to save this to Twitter, it would be very cute. Facebook, very cute. But for Pinterest, that like paragon of wedding loveliness, what you want to do is you want to have taller, skinnier pictures. And now this listing, I have all taller, skinnier pictures, but every listing I have is not like that. Okay, so like on this one, of course it's going to be a tall, skinny picture, right? But usually what happens is I have normal pictures. I'm trying to think through one. Okay, so order form for creative people. So this one is not super tall, but, well, I guess I changed them all over. For a while there, I had shorter pictures, and then I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. I want these people to share these on Pinterest, and so I have to have, at the very least, a square picture. Like, I think these used to be square. I updated them all. Sorry, guys. They have to have at least a square picture, and if not a square picture, then you have to at least have, you know, I'd love to see you have a tall one. Now, if you're freaking out and you're like, this is going to look ugly in search, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you on a listing, because you don't have to, this is my shop that's with my person, it doesn't have anything. So here's some product pictures. So say I was doing this. What is this? I think it's a cookbook. I do. I think it's a cookbook. Hang on, it's thinking. I know what it is. It's a little wood block from the blocks that I sell. So, what I would do with this is I would have a nice tall picture of a block. I take the pictures with my phone turned. So if you're taking actual pictures of your product, you could do it that way. If you're doing mock-ups like we do for our digital products, you could do it the other way. But then what you do is you say adjust the thumbnail, and you can move this little sucker around anywhere you want. And that way and sometimes you have to do it a couple times, which is really annoying. But that way you can have both. Oh, and I'll show you one that makes a lot of sense. So if we go to my desktop, all my products, Paperly People products. So let's do this one, SEO service, right? So this is tall, right? But I always make sure that part of it is going to look good as the thumbnail. So I wouldn't do this, because then that's a little bit confusing, right? But if I say adjust thumbnail and I do this, now all of a sudden, as a thumbnail, that still looks really cute. But if somebody was going to pin it to Pinterest, they're going to be able to pin. See, I told you sometimes it doesn't work. Do it twice. See, oh, it's ready. So eventually Etsy will catch up and it will move it up. But that way you look good in Etsy search and you look good on Pinterest. So that's my Pinterest tip for this. All right, let's yeah, we want to leave. I don't want to keep making weird things all over my computer. All right, now this is Metaphysical Mastery. These are some really nice people that came to one of my in-person classes here down in Pasco County, Florida. So they started up a site. I'm super excited for them. And this is their picture. So first off, kudos to you. You have a nice tall picture. So if we hit pin, it would, like this would take up some space in the Pinterest feed, right? I'm excited about that. Now, that having been said, it's not a super interesting picture. And people will say, okay, well, but I want a plain picture for my product picture, and that's fine. But just make sure that, like, all you would have to do, literally, is take your picture like this, and then have a nice plant, and maybe a vase that you can arrange behind it to take kind of that stylized picture that people on Pinterest are looking for. So you take your normal product picture and then you take your stylized picture of something that people would like to pin, and you just put it there. Speaking of there, which let's speak in English, they only have one picture of this. So they should absolutely have this picture. They should have the stylized picture. They should have a detail of this frame. They should scooch in so they have a picture just of that Scorpio thing. They should scooch in even further so they have you know, where it's so where you could see the detailing in the wood carving. They should have a picture of the back of the frame so that people could see. Does it have one of those things that flips out so it could stand up on a tabletop, or does it have a hangy thing at the top? What you have to remember as you're doing your listings and your pictures is that people are at home and they want to know how, like, it would be almost as if you were thinking of buying this in the store and you would pick it up and you would look at this. Okay, is the thing on the side? No, it's not on. Oh my goodness, there's something different on the back. I want to see that. They might look at the bottom of it. Oh, it's a Starbucks cup. Yay. They want to look inside of it. So honestly, think of that as you're doing it. Hold your piece of whatever you're selling and think, if I was buying this in real life, what are all the things that I would want to see to be able to purchase it? All right, next is Facebook. Now, I think you are going to be super, you're either going to be super happy or super sad. I don't think that your Facebook page is ever going to do anything to sell your products generally. What Facebook has said is the business pages that used to be so good are now showing between 0 and 2% of the people who follow your page. So if you got a whole bunch of people to follow your page, they are not physically showing it to those people because they're trying to get commercial posts out of the feeds unless you pay for them. And Facebook is a business. I'm not saying that they shouldn't pay that. But most of us, I can't pay Facebook marketing prices for a $20, item that I'm selling in my vintage store. That doesn't even make sense. So what I have found is that having interest groups is a great way to sell your product. So this is my interest group for my Etsy ladies. And we have amazing talks. I've collected a whole bunch of Etsy people. They like to talk about Etsy. They like to watch my videos. They like to do that. If I roll out products, I tell them about them, and it's just a really good way. So how would this work with the wedding industry? Valerie could set up a Facebook group that was for specifically wedding invitations, and girls who were obsessed with their wedding invitations would find that. And what she would do to get people in it is on her wedding invitation store, she would put that in every one of her wedding invitations. She would say, are you obsessed with with your wedding invitations? Come to my, join my Facebook group of girls just like you. And then she would not have it be about her store or her wedding invitations. She would share the latest styles. She would share information she finds. She would occasionally share her stuff. She would make sure that if you click through to her person, so if you click through to my person, then you could see, oh, you go to Paperly People. Now mine go to my websites, right? So, but you could go to Shop Now. And so if you go to Shop Now, it goes to my Paperly People, it's me, so it's not working. But it goes to my Paperly People Etsy shop. So if you're going to be doing that and you're going to be kind of sponsoring a Facebook group for your interest, make sure if somebody clicks on your group, because what happens is you're the authority in that group because you're the boss of the group, right? And so they're going to go, why does this lady care so much about invitations? They're going to click through and then they can buy your stuff. So I am a huge proponent of invitations. So we had pictures for Pinterest. We had Etsy updates on Instagram. We had something else. And now our last one is going to be to use hashtags. And I know a lot of people get confused about what hashtags are, but this is super easy. It's just the pound sign. So right here, the pound sign. See? Pound vintage. And this site is amazing because it will help you figure out what your hashtags should be. So for me, I do vintage. So I would come here and I would say, look up vintage. Well, what are some vintage related terms? So fashion, Vogue Team, Etsy, Etsy Love. I don't know if I find that too helpful. Now I happen to know that Vintage Finds is a good one. Okay, and so we'll do Vintage Finds. And now we have shop small, so we know that Etsy sale, French vintage. And you can start to kind of, oh, what if we did 20? Oh, there, that 20 is if you have the big ones. Now, you don't have to go there. You could go to Instagram. This is how I do it a lot of times, is I'll go to Instagram and I will do, oh, it's Elvis. Yay. That's the cat. But I would do vintage finds, or let's just do vintage. All right. And so when we do vintage, then I'll go to somebody that has a really good one. And so they have retro, vintage, modern, modernism, modernist. And what you do is when you post your mid-century modern, so for those of us who sell vintage, that's a big term. What they do is when you post that hashtag in your Instagram post, which I didn't use tons of them, but I put a couple hashtags in my post from the Etsy shop update. You will show up in search for people. And now on Instagram, they're letting you follow these searches. So what that means is, and you don't have to love Instagram to do this, okay? If you're the kind of shop owner that's like, I am not going to spend all my time on Instagram, you don't have to. If you have that hashtag, then people who do Instagram will be able to follow you, okay? So don't be nervous about that. All right, so this is vintage finds. Look, all kinds of vintage stuff, perfect. And so my stuff fits in. You do want to check those hashtags, though, and make sure that your stuff fits into what shows up. Now, they use hashtags on Pinterest, too. So here's vintage finds. All my stuff would fit in. Now, what you may find is when I do sometimes just vintage, I will get a lot of vintage clothing. I will get a lot of that. So you want to kind of try to figure out what is going on with those hashtags and see if you can find any. Oh, shelfie is a cute hashtag. Well, it's where you take a selfie of your shelfie, right? Okay. Maybe I need to stop making videos and get out more. Okay, so doing wedding, we can see that we have bride, bridal, love, jewelry, fashion. So those are all things that are related to wedding. And you can click through these. So you can go down a little rabbit hole. So if you did wedding dress, bridal, fashion, brides, bridal gowns, and then you went to bridal gowns, you know, it kind of gives you an idea of what hashtags you could use. And these are the hashtags on the Instagram. So here's some wedding invitations. I would come here. Oh, rats. It is in another language. Imagine that. Everybody is an American. That looks like the same lady. But so let's see if we did wedding invitations. See how it comes up? You can even see that it's kind of auto-populating that, so you can figure that out. So this guy, okay, here they are. Wedding invitations, wedding invitation, wedding stationery. Interesting. Stationery. So that's a really good way to find those. And then when you do wedding on Pinterest, this is an amazing place for wedding invitations. Like there's some navy wedding invitations. There are the flower wedding invitations. And so the one thing about this to please remember is a lot of times people will use, when they're doing this first paragraph up here, they'll introduce a sale or they'll say their shop policies or they'll do something like that. But honestly, what shows up in the preview, what shows up when you post your listing to Pinterest is going to be this. So you want that first paragraph to be super strong and to almost be a little sales copywriting message for your item. So hopefully that helps. Tara Jacobson, Marketing Artfully. Oh, if you like this video, make sure to click the thumbs up. And if you like videos like this, make sure to subscribe.